Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. It's been a great week. What can I say? It's been a good week. It's been fun. I got a lot of shit going on just in general. It's been a busy week as far as like creative stuff. I'll talk about this. I mean, the podcast is really like starting to blossom. I've been getting great, I don't even like to call it feedback, but I've just been hearing from a lot of people like how much they enjoy listening to this podcast. And like, it's extremely flattering. It's extremely fucking cool that this thing is becoming something that is like, it's not just like me getting on here and rambling about, like my shit and stuff, but it's like, I feel like it's nice that it's like resonating with people in general. So I've had a lot of friends reach out and, old friends, new friends. And it's just, it's cool. I think like, what I've been reflecting on this week about what this podcast is really starting to do, what Unscripted has like, unlocked is like really a way for me to, communicate with people in a way I wasn't able to before, or maybe like let my voice be heard in a way that it wasn't being heard before. And that's really cool. It's really like, if anything, I kind of talked about connectivity and how people want to get back to like being like connected, like in real life, not just on the internet. And like, you're not just living in the digital age. Like people are kind of like, I think like, this is a weird take, but like counterculture wise, the 2010s, everything was so like pushed to the internet. Social media was booming. And, obviously there's been Facebook and all these other social medias for very long before the 2010s, but like it was the aftermath of like those, let's say the initial fucking social medias and what happened after and like how they transformed the way people think and hang out. And like the 2010s was just fucking crazy. Like social media became like more important than your real life sometimes. And like a distortion of maybe what like reality was at the time and in general. And like, I think people are kind of like the counterculture movement going on right now is like, it's not even a political thing. It's just a fucking like social thing. People want to get connected again in a way they weren't before. Like, there's kind of the movie theater renaissance going on right now too, where people want to go back to the theater. Like there's like people championing it. Like we got to go back. We got to buy tickets. You got to go see movies in person. Cause the experience is like what people are valuing now. They're like, yeah, it's convenient to watch shit at home, but like, fuck, I do enjoy that experience when I want to have it. And like, I hope other generations get that experience. And, it kind of goes into, not just the movie theater thing, but like real life. It's like, that's just one example. But like in real life, it's people want to get connected again. People want the IRL in real life fucking connection. And I think that's like something that's really cool. And I'm like feeling it just through the podcast. And like, maybe I've been a little bit of like reserved from like, social shit in the last few years. But like, I also have talked about this. Like sometimes you got to lock in and do what's good for you. And like, honestly, when I started really focusing on myself and like, and this is long before the last like, 5 years, but like, I really just started thinking about what do I want? Like, I want to like, fucking go out and have a good time. And like the fear of missing out on the good time is going to hold me back from like fucking chasing my dreams. And it's like, absolutely not. I've used this line a few times, but I think it's always a good story to tell. J.J. Abrams had he said in college that he was screenwriting. He wanted to be a screenwriter. And he said he would write. And then, every now and then on a blue moon, he'd go out and fucking drink at the bar. And when he went to the bar, it was the same fucking people. It was the same people just saying, like, I can't wait to start writing, man, once I have my script and once I'm doing this and that. And it's like, he just thought to himself, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, all I do is write. I come out to do this occasionally. But all these other people were so confident, so sure of themselves that they're going to be the ones that fucking got ahead. And, like, obviously, history tells the tale. JJ went on to do great things, but I think what he was saying is like, hey, don't be distracted by the fear of missing out or like just things that are out of your control. Like if you really want to do something, like just really focus on that thing and like take action and like don't hesitate to get started. Like not getting started is the worst thing you can do. And I understand like, and I'll keep it writing centric because I've been doing a lot of writing myself. When you're staring at the blank page, like the first fucking, like there's nothing there. It's like, God damn, like what am I going to, how do I start this? It's gotten easier for me over time. Now I like see the blank page. I'm like, I can't wait to write another script because it's just a new story, new characters. And like, no matter how many scripts I write, whenever you're writing a script, you get so invested in those people. You start to think about it. I'll be taking a fucking bath and I'll be thinking like, damn, like, these two characters I have, like, what's going to happen to them? Or like, how can I make things happen to them? And what do I want to happen to them? And also like what makes sense to happen to them. So it's really cool. But like, when you focus in on like doing that thing and getting better at that thing, you get less afraid of doing it. And like, I don't know. I think it's just starting is the main fucking thing you should be focused on. Don't wait to start because you're afraid or you don't think it'll be good or whatever. It's just get fucking started, get fucking going, and you'll get fucking ahead. But yeah, I think I've even said this about the podcast, but even doing the podcast and getting better at doing this, just like through action, like, cause I went back and listened to some of the first ones and like, I sound okay, but I sound like less confident and less sure of myself. There's a lot more like, just, I don't know, like it doesn't seem as coherent. I also was like punching in and not doing just like a raw one fucking long take. And I don't know, with anything you're doing, just taking action and going forward and getting better at it, it's so important. And like, that's kind of what's happened is like, I've just like, I wouldn't even call it manifested, because manifesting is different. You kind of sit there and think like, how can I make this happen? And like, what will I do? It's kind of like what JJ was talking about, people at the bar, like when I do it, or like, and it's fun to dream. But, as the years start going by, the dream either gets closer or further away. And you really got to dial in and say like, I think if I try my fucking hardest and it doesn't work out, I'll be okay with that, because at least I fucking tried and I gave it my all. And like right now I'm on 120%. Like I'm giving it everything I fucking got. I'm throwing everything at the fucking wall, and I'm making sure I do it with like the best fucking mindset, preparedness, etc. And this is just in my own like life. Like right now I'm living a very aggressive lifestyle when it comes to the dream and just trying to make things change, because like I said, once you realize it's up to you to make the changes in your life and to try and actually like put yourself out there and get yourself in, be the best version of you, I guess, and get to wherever you want to go. And like that, wherever you get, you're always going to probably want more. I think that's just human nature, but it's just, time to get started. Like the dream's close enough. I don't want to let it slip away because I didn't work hard enough. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. And I don't blame people. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying like, it's really easy to just say, you know what? It's easier to just be content and not be uncomfortable and not have late nights and fucking worry about the future. And like, and I talk about living in the moment, but yeah, like, there's times when I fucking get caught up and I think like about the future and my house is working out. Where's my, like, I don't even have a 5-year plan. I don't like that shit, but like, what's my plan? Like, what's my direction? Like, where's my ship sailing right now? And I think it's just important to keep in mind. I think when you are doing anything, like just get fucking started. Figure out how much you really want it. Is this a commitment of time you want to make, energy, focus, etc.? Because, dude, like, if it's not something you're really serious about, it's cool to just not take it that serious. And that it's fine. Like, you shouldn't take life so fucking serious that you're just driving yourself crazy. But for me right now, I'm on the creative grind. I'm on that indie film grind. Got some business shit cooking up as well. But it's like, really, I'm just in a very focused place. And I think that reflecting, like I've been saying, it all comes from the action. Once you start taking action, it just all starts to come together. You're putting it into motion, one may say. But anyways, yeah, I had some old friends reach out. It's been really cool to like reconnect with people. I think a lot of good things are coming in the future. And I have a lot of it to thank is not just by all the shit I've done before, like the film Peninsula Nights, the short films, Last Call, Sinner, and so many more before that. So much other shit, the building blocks on the way to this. But it's all added up. And like, the podcast is one new like part of that creative world of mine that's really, I feel like, resonating, and it's hitting with not just random people. I've had a tremendous growth even on like, social media lately. And it's pretty cool to see because it's just been mostly organic, other than like friends and family, like, the new followers and people like reaching out. It's cool to see. So like, obviously this is a message that's hitting and is broad, and it's just cool, and I appreciate everybody who's following and fucking listening and just along for the ride. It's really cool. Thank you so much. I guess that kind of brings me to my next point. I'm in a, like, that actually doesn't really change the point. I'd say this, I'm in like the burn the boats phase of my life, where like the old life I had, like I loved my old life, but like after making the movie, and like I said, there's like a literal head change, like psychologically, I just like everything changed. I don't know how to explain it, but that's just what happened. And like, I think I'm at the burn the boats phase. Like plan A is fucking filmmaking and creative shit. That's it. I'm not, the plan B is just, if everything doesn't fucking work out, then sure, I'll draw up the plans for plan B. But right now I've burned the fucking boats. I'm out in the ocean. I'm fucking waiting the tide. Like, and I think it's so important just to like, if you're going to do it, go all the way, go all the fucking way. Cause that's like the most important thing you could do is just be that invested in what you want and what you want to do, where you're not feeling like, I wouldn't even call it suppressed. I'd just say, don't hold yourself back. Don't be an anchor to yourself. And like that actually, like, some of the people I've reconnected with, I think that it's important to like, look at like, how did I meet these people? I met them through other people. And it's good to like know that everybody's having growth and moving on, and you're not being held back by old shit. Like never any grudges, never any beef, but like, sometimes people move on for different reasons and they go in different directions in life. And like, you just, you don't talk to those people anymore. And then like when somebody does come around, it is almost like, cool. Like, I actually think we're in a better position to be better, like, at communicating and being friends and like, maybe collaborating, working together now than maybe then, because of like just the terms of the situation and like how things work. And it's like, it's funny. I was actually listening to my other friend, Claire Gelot. She has a really good podcast. It's called Barely Scraping By. You should check it out. Super fucking dope. But she was talking to one of her friends on the pod this week. I can't remember her name. Sorry. But her friend worked at, I think, Disney. And she was talking about how when Claire was going to apply for jobs, she actually fucking reached out via LinkedIn and, wanted to get a hold of her friend who, like, from the past that like worked at one of these places. It had been like years, they said, like a decade plus. And they didn't care. They're like, hey, fuck it. Like, you're reaching out to me. Like, let's reconnect. I said it before. All it takes is like a message or a fucking call or whatever. And you know what? You don't know where it'll lead. Apparently it led to helping her get her job, where she's at. And it's like, that's super fucking dope. You don't know who's going to come into your life and when they're going to go out or when they're going to come back in. It just, that's life. And life is long. That, this actually was something else I wanted to talk about. But whenever you're doing a deal, and that's good that, the friend reconnecting, all that shit, cool, right? It shows you that the power of connection and messaging somebody actually works. But, I had a deal where a guy wanted to get like $2 million to make a movie, right? And I had some wealthy family, tried to bring him to him. And, in the end, it didn't work out, which is fine. But, at the end, the guy got pissed and he ended up, becoming kind of like, a pain in my ass, quite frankly. And it's like, dude, like, I tried my hardest to get you what you wanted. I tried to get you this fucking money that I didn't have to do. And like, you know what? Like, my role in this production, this was before I made my movie and shit, was a little bit like more reduced. And like at the time, like, because of like the guy's accolades, I thought like, maybe this is a good idea. But it's like, you know what? Like, no, like, you don't disrespect somebody who tries to get you something and then have like an ego about it. And it's just like, would I ever work with somebody like that again? Absolutely fucking not. But that kind of goes into like, never leave things on bad terms, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, just be fucking decent. Be cool. Don't let your ego ever blow shit up. It's, I think it's a young man's thing. And if you got an ego and you're older, like, I don't know, maybe you're just fucking a maniac. But like, everybody has their reasons. Yeah, I get it. But no, like, especially when you're doing business with somebody, always try and leave it on good terms. That was like a deal that like, I don't know. I've been reflecting on that, and it just like kind of soured a lot of shit for like, it didn't just affect me. It affected a ton of people because of like just this, it could have been something great and it just ended up not being something good and ended up being like kind of like a bad memory. And it's like, yeah, but anyways, that's besides the point. I've just been reflecting. Sometimes when you're doing business and shit, don't let your ego get in the way. And like, certainly if you're reconnecting with people, don't ever let your ego get in the way. Like, it's usually you who changes anyways. Everybody changes. Everybody grows up. And like, I don't know, just a point to make, I guess, is like ego can just be fucking bad. And like, it doesn't have to do just with that situation. I've met people that are super fucking egotistical and it's just like, it's a turnoff immediately. You're like, I don't know about this. Like, if this guy's going to be acting like this the whole fucking time I'm going to be around him, this could end up being really bad, for not just you, but anyone around this person. So anyways, yeah, just something to touch base on. I don't know, just have integrity, be a good person, fucking do clean business. Don't ever be shady. And always, people want to work and people want to collaborate and people want to get together. And like the sense of community that I'm talking about is like the sense of community I think like not just I've been craving, but like I think everyone's been craving. I think a lot of it stems from COVID. Like everyone was locked away. Everybody was at home. And like, I don't really even think about COVID anymore, but like in like 2020's hindsight or hindsight's 2020, right? I'm looking back at what happened. I'm kind of like, it was just a weird experience. Everything kind of changed. Everybody started staying at home and like, I don't need to explain COVID to you, but like, it was a really weird impact. And I think we're starting to see the, I guess like post-COVID world where it's been a few years and people are like, what were we doing before? Because remember, life used to be a vibe. It used to just be like you go out and things were just happening. And then you just never thought this like good thing would ever change. And then like with COVID, it was like, whoa, like it was like the world stopped. I remember driving around Monterey County down Highway 1 and just over Monterey Bay. And I was the only fucking car on the road. This is like early COVID. Skies were clear. There was like no pollution because like everybody wasn't driving. Streets were empty. It looked like something out of like a fucking zombie movie or like an apocalypse movie. Like, and it was just so strange. But like, and look, I think most things have gone back fully to normal. like for the most part. But like, I think the connection that everybody had prior to COVID is starting to, you know, it's what people want. People want that OG, like I go out and I see somebody I know or whatever fucking shit when I go down to the bar or like, you know, some spot, and like, you know, I think the days of like just fucking hiding away in your house and like door dashing and shit are gone. Like people like it, but I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is like, that's just one fucking take on like why people kind of got separated to begin with. But no, I think like, you know, it's good. I think community's good. And like, I hope that's something that this podcast keeps building. And then also just like, you know, in general in my life, I just hope like more community forums because it's important and like people are important. I think some of the most important assets you have in your life are probably time, people, ideas, good ideas, you know, and making sure you have the judgment and the mindset to make good decisions on those ideas, because ideas can be really fucking powerful and they can be really fucking bad if they're not the right ones, and it can mislead you, or you could waste a lot of time squandering time on something that may not be worth your time. So I don't know, like I said, be informed, be smart, value people, value your time, always value your time, you know, and like make sure you spend the right time and energy on the right things. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of a rant there, but anyways, I think that overall I'm just super stoked. The future's bright. We got a lot of fucking good things cooking up. Been working on some Slugger shit. I don't know if you guys saw, but I made an account for Slugger. It's Slugger the Movie. I think at Slugger the Movie on Instagram. So if you want, go check that out. I'm posting concept art of the actual character Slugger, and here's kind of my battle plan on Slugger right now. I've been talking with Stevie a lot about this, how we're going to bring Slugger into reality. This movie's going to probably cost a decent little chunk. It's not, like I said, it's not the it's a marathon on this movie. We're going to be working on trying to get this movie made over time. I'm going to be making content in the meantime, short film coming soon. That's in, you know, pre-production. Going to be making concept art, showing off the character, just really building the character, you know, before the movie's even made. Because look, like I'm not trying to hide the character away, you know, like if they put out a Friday the 13th movie today, I get the name equity and all that, but like, you know, the character, it's not going to be like, oh, who the fuck is the character going to be? You know, it's going to be Jason Voorhees rocking the fucking hockey mask and the machete. But that being said, it's like, okay, let people get familiar with Slugger. And if there's demand and people want to see Slugger come to life, we're going to make this movie. And we're probably going to make it either way, because I believe in the idea. And I think like it's just a cool fucking character. And I love it. You know, I've been thinking about Slugger for like probably 10 years. Honestly, like I remember I made this character as a joke. Like I said, I'd plug him into my scripts, be like, oh, they were auditioning for Slugger, or this guy directed Slugger. Like I do a lot of industry inside baseball type, you know, screenwriting. So I'd make Slugger kind of like a reference point, or like, what movie is she getting casted in? Slugger. So anyways, besides the point, it's the marathon movie where it's like, hey, this might take 6 months to get into production. It might take 3 months. We don't know. But I'm going to build the character, try and reach out to some legitimate people and try and get this thing, you know, off the ground, because I believe in it. Stevie believes in it. We both have a vision for how this character could be, you know, a really like, you know, I think America's next greatest horror killer. And yeah, I've been working on that. No real screenwriting on that, just kind of keeping my current draft as it is. I'll go back and touch it up. It always changes. Nothing you can do about that. You always go back and make, you know, adjustments here and there, and you have new ideas. And when you read it, you might be like, why didn't I put that in there last time? That made a little bit more sense, or might make more sense. And yeah, so that's something that I've been like working on as well. But if you can, go follow at Slugger the Movie. And if not, it's all good. I'm not trying to hard sell you here, but yeah, go check it out. It's cool concept art. Got a lot of stuff. Yeah, so that's been cooking up. What else have I been up to? Been working on this mumblecore movie idea with Stevie. We've been really discussing it, trying to kind of like fill out how the character should be and what direction his like, you know, romance and shit goes in. But I'm excited to do that. Like I said, I haven't really led a movie or anything, but like obviously I've filmed other people a ton, and like doing the podcast has actually gotten me, quite frankly, a little bit more comfortable being on camera and, you know, in general. And like, I don't mind being like candid with the audience, because it's like, fuck it. Like, that's the truth, man. It's like being on this podcast. Like I never liked even, you know, hearing my voice, ironically, before doing this. And like now it's like, cool. Like I enjoy it. And I actually think I have a quite soothing voice for the microphones. But anyways, yeah, working on that. Stevie and I have been talking about that. I've had some other stuff going on. I can't really talk about it on here, but like I'm acting as a plaintiff on a couple like different court cases right now, which means I'm the one suing someone else. And like, I can't say anything for legal reasons, whatever, but that's been something that's been taking up a chunk of my time too. That's like more behind the scenes shit. And it's like all very justified. I had, you know, some bad business deals, and, you know, when people try and take advantage of you, that it's unacceptable. And I'll say this: I'm representing myself in pro per, and if you don't know what that means, go look it up. I'm self-representing myself. With the modern day, I think it's pretty easy to get this information. If you're ever getting screwed around, learn the justice system, because it's one hell of a fucking system. You know, I actually used to have like very little faith that, like, you know, the system's broken. I don't know. Like, the system's pretty fucking like good if you know how to apply it. I honestly don't understand why they don't teach people how to self-represent themselves in court in school. Part of me thinks it's part of a, you know, bigger reason not to have you informed, because it makes it easier for lawyers and shit to make money. But yeah, it's been very interesting. I've learned so much, like, self-representing myself in court. And anyways, it's just something to throw out there. It's quite the fucking interesting experience. You know, I just feel like it's like kind of like unlocking another part of your mind. Like, you know, I just never really thought about the civil, you know, justice system, if you want to call it that. And it's quite different than what you'd think. I think it's actually, maybe, I wouldn't say easier than what you think, but it's definitely like, if you can educate yourself, you can navigate the system pretty good, and you can save yourself a lot of money on fucking lawyer fees, which is kind of like the biggest benefit of doing it. And look, I respect lawyers. If I needed to pay for a lawyer, I would do it. I have, you know, lawyers are great people. They do great work, but learning how to use this system for your own benefit, and it's completely legal. It's completely up to you. You know, judges don't frown on it at all. They're like, oh, you're an informed person. So yeah, check it out if you haven't. I mean, that's something if you're having like legal disputes. But for me, it was like really my only resort, because, like, you know, for the particular case I was doing, it was going to add up to be, you know, possibly $100,000 plus. And I just, you know, to be honest, don't have $100,000 to just go blow on, you know, legal fees. So I put my mind to it, did a lot of research, a lot of homework, and I figured it out. And so far, so good, you know? So that's something that is like a bit of an aside, but that's been taking up a ton of my fucking time. And like, I don't know. I just, I've started to think in a different way just because of that. And I think it's just super important, you know, on anything in life, just be really informed, because people will prey on what you don't know, which is sick and fucked up and twisted. But, you know, have you ever thought like, oh, I wish I could go back to high school and like talk to my teacher the way I do now, or like, you know, whatever, you know, X, Y, and Z, insert the situation, or talk to that cop, whatever. It's so like, it's true, because now you understand like how much they knew you didn't know. And like, as an adult, people don't change that much. There's other adults out there that will prey on what you don't know, and what you don't know, right? So if you do know more than you maybe initially did, and you keep educating yourself in this life, it's a great way to stay protected, keep yourself informed, and make sure other people don't take advantage of your ignorance, you know? And look, I know ignorance is bliss, but having a fucking good mind that's well-informed and sharp, it's going to protect you all the way. And honestly, like, I don't think you could get into this game. Like, there's some people that maybe are a little bit more aloof. I can be at times, but that aren't as like, you know, sentient and focused on like their, you know, work or their path or their dream. And like, I honestly, like, it's gonna be a tough time in like entertainment industry or like film industry if you're not like very present and you're very like, I'm here, I'm ready to work, I'm ready to do this thing. Because like everybody else probably is, you know, and there's always exceptions. Like I said, not everyone's a fucking like, you don't have to be like laser beam focused, but it's just like in general, like, be informed, know what's going on. People don't want to talk to the person that doesn't know what's going on. They're gonna be like, hey, like, do you know what's going on with this situation? How do we handle this? Be a like problem solver, like know solutions before they come up, you know, be prepared. Like I've had, you know, I remember I used to throw a lot of concerts back in the day. I remember having one situation at a concert where like the whole power went out, right? Everybody freaked out. I went over there, I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I think I get this. All right, I think I get what's going on here. Swap out a couple fucking cables, boom, 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 everything's back, right? I think it was like a blown fuse on a fucking like power strip. All good, you know, probably was drawing too much power, but like, don't wait till where you're like, I don't know how to fix this, like, you know, or like, even if it's a business solution, it doesn't have to be necessarily like a production or like some sort of solution like that. There's so many other things you could be like useful and resourceful for. Like, you know, if you're on like a fucking shoot and like, you should know that there's like, if there's an equipment issue that there's, hey, you know, don't worry about it. I know there's a camera shop right down the road, or like there's like a fucking Target or like a Best Buy. We can replace some equipment if we need to. Have solutions ready, be prepared. It's like when people have like the hospital route on like, I don't know, fucking shoots or like emergency situations, you know, be prepared. Know where you need to go in case an emergency does happen. It's that simple. And like that goes into everything in life. Just be super fucking prepared, be informed. And if you have to go to court, don't be afraid to represent yourself in pro per. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So anyways, I got a little bit of shit here on my notes. I've been reading about the Skydance Paramount merger, which was fucking massive. They've been trying to put together this deal for a while. I don't know if you know Larry Ellison, but he had a few kids. His daughter, can't remember her first name, I think Megan Ellison, she ended up buying the rights to a lot of like movies back in the day in Hollywood, like The Terminator, and I think she produced Zero Dark 30. She went on like a production spree, did a lot of cool shit, and a lot of her movies did very well. I think she might have done Hurt Locker too. Don't hold me to that, but she did quite a few great movies, and she had those Terminator, movies come out, and they were good for what they were. I think that, it was just a bad era in movies when they came out, and like they took a lot of creative liberty with the IP, which is fine, but yeah, I think they tried to do something that was like super crowd pleaser. And like, look, I love the OG Terminators 1, 2, and even fucking 3. And 1 and 2 are very special. They're James Cameron movies, and like they're incredibly well made. And I think unbelievably relevant with everything that's going on with AI, which is fucking scary, but also really cool, and like makes you wonder if James Cameron was on to something. The guy's rarely misses, usually hits. But anyways, yeah. Now, this new deal with Skydance Paramount merger, I'm reading numbers here, is an $8 billion merger creating Paramount Skydance Corporation, led by David Ellison, which is, I believe, the brother of Megan Ellison, also son of Larry Page, or Larry Ellison, rather. Combining Paramount's legacy brands with Skydance production prowess. Okay, so, yeah, that's a big purchase, $8 billion. That's a hell of a fucking price tag, right? And on top of that, you've got just so much IP and so much of Paramount's history. Just fucking, it's a good buy. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. It's also an expensive buy. Now, it also says here that the UFC rights deal, Paramount Plus, lands an exclusive 7-year, $7.7 billion US deal with UFC, repositioning live sports as a streaming backbone. I mean, fuck, that's another hefty price tag. So they went on a huge shopping spree. We're talking almost $20 billion. A lot of fucking money. They obviously must think they must have a great plan, or they must just see, the metric and think that this is the right direction to take it. So that being said, it's not the first time the Ellison family has, tried to get into Hollywood. Obviously they want it. I think Skydance has made some fucking bangers over the last few years. Top Gun, Maverick, really good. God damn, I can't think of any of the other movies that they have coming to mind right now, but I remember seeing their banner on quite a few fucking heavy hitters. So I'm all for it. I love Paramount. I think they make great films. I think, the Ellisons are obviously very invested in Hollywood, and they have the good intentions. I think some people would argue like, just a billionaire trying to buy a big corporation. Sure. But like they could buy anything. Why get into this space other than, if they really liked it, they want to be in the media. I don't know. I guess it just depends. It depends on who, has the best intentions with the company and the best vision. I honestly think the Ellisons, they'll do a great job. I guess the Ellisons' biggest competition right now is probably Warner Brothers, other than Netflix. It says here, Warner Brothers, first studio in history to open up 6 consecutive films over $40 million. That includes Minecraft, Weapons, Final Destination, Bloodlines, Superman, Alto Knights, and Companion. I mean, it's pretty fucking great if you think about it. And look, I think people got obsessed with if the movie doesn't make $300 million in the opening day, or just $1 billion while it's in its theatrical run, that it's just not a good movie. I don't know, $1 billion's a tall order. Not everything's going to be fucking Harry P or Batman or fucking, Top Gun or Barbie. It's okay for a movie to make $40 million. It's a ton of fucking money. And also it might be a great movie. That movie could end up becoming a classic or grow over time. And I kind of said it this past Oscars, all of my favorite movies were the lower budget ones, The Apprentice, A Real Pain, Anora. These movies stood out, even Flow, not to mention another, tremendously well-made low-budget animation film. It's not that big of a deal to make a ton of money. If you make something good and people like it, sure, money will follow eventually, but who cares? You just make something that's good for the culture. It's good for people. People want something they can see and fucking relate to. It doesn't have to always be a fucking tentpole blockbuster. And I like those movies. I don't like to disparage, because I love movies in general. I love the big fucking budget cheeseball movies, the cheeseball fucking action, everything. I like it all, dude. I like, pretty much with the exception of a few musicals, that I just can't get into. I love all movies. Movies are fucking awesome. And I think these guys here, Warner's, Skydance, Paramount merger, they all love movies. They want to do the same shit. Otherwise, they wouldn't be putting money behind it. They say, fuck this business. Fuck Hollywood. I'm skipping town. It's not the case. I think there's about to be a massive renaissance in movies. I talked about from the independent film world, the outsiders coming in. Sure, It's, you know, it's no different than the 90s or like even the 70s. We're coming back, you know, the fucking indie guys are back. We're ready to make movies that are good, that are at quality of Hollywood level, if not, I wouldn't say better, but fucking better movies that people want to see because of cultural relevance. People want to see themselves in movies. They don't want to just see Superman and the capes, and they don't want to just see Indiana fucking Jones or, you know, Star Wars. And I love these movies. I'm not disparaging them at all, but I'm just saying it's okay for a movie to be normal, about normal life, and have a modest return, as long as it's, sure, maybe as long as it's profitable. You want to make dog shit that doesn't make a fucking penny, but like, yeah, I get it. I think we're in an interesting time where like studios are going to really crank out their best and indie's going to crank out all the rest. And then there'll always be smaller production. Sure. But like, it's cool. I feel like film, as much as people like, and people also try to say like people's attention spans are fried and blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, like, I don't know. Do people want to watch TikToks before they go to bed or want to throw on a movie? Do you want to watch a fucking TikTok with the family in the living room? Like, let's just keep swiping. And through, you know, it's nonsense. People love watching movies. Also movies like, I just heard Macaulay Culkin talking about Home Alone 2, how he gets paid the most on that movie, like back end merch, etc., which is why he likes it the most. And honestly, I love Home Alone 2, probably even more than the first, personally. It's the one I end up watching the most. But it's like, dude, the movie has grown to be so much more than just like a movie. It's like a comfort thing. You put it on during the holidays, you're like, yeah, Home Alone 2, it reminds me of past Christmases. It reminds me of family time. It reminds me of the lights and the fireplace, the smells, the sights, the fucking food, Santa Claus, Frosty, all the shit that has to do with Christmas, the snowy weather. Even though it doesn't really snow in California, it still reminds you of it. It gets you excited for a time, or it reminds you of a time. And it's like, that's what movies do. It's like A Wonderful Life. You don't just throw it on because it's like, I heard it's a classic. Like, sure. But it's also like, fuck, this movie, like, it has beat the test of time because it's so good, so culturally impactful, and it means so much to people. And like, movies mean a lot to people. I think that's what people are realizing. And like, everything's self-correcting in life, in my opinion, even people. And I think culture and socially, people are self-correcting. They're like, you know what? They want that connection. They want that means to fucking attach themselves to something that means something. And like, movies mean something to people that really love them. And even if you're not like a cinephile or an aficionado or whatever, you can still fucking love movies. And there's a movie, I guarantee you, everybody, you go out and ask somebody like, what's that movie you love? What's that movie you lean on when you're fucking like, I'm not feeling 100%. I need something that's just, you know, my little dopamine fix of escapism. What movie is that? Everyone's got that movie, you know, and I think, you know, even if you're the $8 billion fucking purchaser, you know, some billionaire living in a house, like that billionaire goes to night at night watching a fucking movie, I'm sure, because he fucking loves it. And he's got that movie that for him is like, let me just escape. It doesn't, and it transcends money and wealth and all that shit. It's like, you know, movies connect us all. And hopefully this podcast is connecting us all as well. Thought I had a little bit more facts here. Anyways, guys, my final statement is like, if you got ships to burn those fucking ships, get to work, and let's fucking go. You know, the future's bright. High tide raises all boats. And I feel like with the connectivity I'm having in life right now, that high tide, I hope it comes soon because the ships are fucking burned and I'm ready to go. And I hope everybody comes up and everybody has success and everybody fucking wins. All right, guys, this is another episode of Unscripted. I'm Devin Thomas. I'll talk to you guys next week.